Hello, 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 everyone. It is Thursday. It is 3:30. I'm with Dr. Thomas. We are here doing consciousness conversation and really excited to talk and start this conversation using the Four Agreements by Don MIguel Ruiz. And I actually found my copy, so I was very excited because I don't necessarily keep all the books. Just because I have people in who will look at my bookshelf and be like, oh, I wanted to read that, or oh, do you have something that would help me for this? And of course, I just, I give a book and I don't lend it because I don't necessarily expect it to be returned, and that's okay. Because I figure it goes where it's needed, right? Just kind of like crystals. When you lose your crystals, it goes where it's needed. So I just really am excited about talking about this topic today. And I know that it is in correlation and it is in connection with kind of the energies that are in the field, because I know that we're going to be bringing in some information from the program last night, which is the Healing Wednesday that is put on by Lee Carroll, Monica Morani, the channeling of Cryon. So really excited about this. I'm very good, Vibhuti. How are you? This is going to be a consciousness conversation, folks. So please take what resonates, because each and every one of these conversations, I feel like if you really listen with your heart, you will find something in there for you. And we do have a whole playlist of consciousness conversations. They're also in the podcast section of my YouTube channel. So really liking where kind of things are going as far as this connection in the field that we all have together and how we're continuing to kind of grow together. So just a little update. Everything that I've got going on can be found on my website at guidance311.com. And you can always follow Dr. Thomas on his YouTube channel at TDI PhD. And you're going to use the @ symbol and you will find his channel. So things are really starting to take off. How are you today?
Do you feel it?
Yeah.
I should. Yeah, look, yeah, it is a very. The energy is very high right now.
Mm-hmm.
It can go in any direction, but it is very high right now, which is a good thing. And so we say this, we do this. Someone just Station just told me to make sure you ground yourself. I'm like, I guess I should listen and ground myself. I think Sheila said the same thing. Make sure you ground yourself right now to everyone. And so I'll start off with that. But it's there's a lot. We say it before, but for the past 2 hours, I've just had this feeling something's happening. Something good is happening, but something's happening. But anyways,
well, no, I just want to piggyback on that because you're right. I mean, for each and every one of us, something is happening, but it's going to happen based on where you are vibrationally. And that's where you have to be careful, and why grounding yourself is so important, because you can get pulled right now very easily into different avenues or timelines or energies if you're not very intentional about where you want to be. And I know even for myself, in the past couple of days, I've done some very high vibrational meditations that I've been called to do, because these energies are kind of taking me into that, like that next dimension or that next level, right? And so very important to really listen to your body, listen to your emotions, listen to your thoughts right now. What do you need? And I know for the past month, I can honestly say I've been tired or exhausted, and sleep didn't really make a difference. Like, I was getting enough sleep, I was eating right, but I just had this exhausted, tired feeling. And it was because I wasn't making a decision. So I wasn't able to ground myself in a timeline because I was being pulled in different directions vibrationally. And I wasn't setting that intention about what I wanted to co-create and I wanted my reality to be like. So right now, if you're feeling like you're really kind of being pulled or you're exhausted, or you can't seem to make a decision, right? That's where you really want to ground and get quiet, get into a meditative space, just be. Gratitude journal, like go to all the old ways, right, guys? Go to all the old things that anchor you into your body and your energy, because that is where you're going to allow yourself to be able to co-create your reality.
Cynthia says she's wearing her grounding crystals. Not yet. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah, I said wait. I know. Yes, you gotta listen to me every once in a while. So we're here. I mean, a lot of what I'm saying is, just because of what we have going on right now, because it's not just one little thing, but we're here to talk about the book, The Four Agreements. Now, I'll start with this. For the past 2 years, people said, "Oh, have you read the?" I'd be talking to them about whatever it is I'm talking to them about. They're like, "Oh, have you read the Four Agreements? Have you read the Four Agreements?" I'm like, "No." They, "Oh, have you read the Four Agreements?" I mean, so many people said it to me. And I think I saw the book somewhere. And finally, this weekend, had to do yard work. I'm like, you know what? I'll give in. I got enough Audible credits to never get the books. I'll get the book on Audible and listen to it. And so, a short read, and I'm doing yard work, so I'm not always paying attention as I should be. But I propose this to you and for everyone because it's another way of thinking. We say this so many times. There are so many truths out there. So many. But you do not realize they say the same thing. What this church says, what this church says, what this church says, what this church says, what this person says, what this person says, they all say the basic things the same way with different words. The problem has always been that the human decides to expand on it incorrectly. Now, let me say this another way. It's not like it's wrong, because there's no wrong, but you take it and you interpret it to mean that's what the initial meaning was. You think you need to expand on it and make it more complex. It isn't. Nothing is like that. It's like very complex. We do the complex, you do the simple. So what is given to you, these words we are given to you, they're simple to understand. But even the disciples and the followers, they all took the words and tried to extrapolate these grandiose aha moments, these moments, make these dark and this. No, it is simple. And we give it to you in many different modes, different authors, different movies, different songs, different spiritual leaders, different people throughout the world. Now, the messages are going to be biased upon the human that is giving it. Whether it's complete for the whole thing is not true, because it's always going to be biased. It's always going to be partial. Very few can take their impartiality and make it full, but you're not given the full picture. You can't handle the full picture. And so you're given what you needed, but you get this book. You get these teachings of Jesus. You get what we talked about earlier. You mentioned Crying or Edoranda or any of these other spiritual leaders, yourself, Sheila, the ones we work with here. There are so many, even Dr. Ryan's coming in this week. There are so many different spiritual leaders given guidance by others, given truths, because there are so many different truths. But in the end, they are the same. The difference is how in depth the message is, based upon how in depth you are ready to receive. So you can go in and get like the message that the four agreements talk about. Or you can go deeper and truly get a very deeper understanding with more of the deepness if you listen to someone else. But the message is the same regardless. Some people don't need the deep to truly get into the foundation of it. Some people just need to know the basics. And then they understand and they can live it. Others, like this guy here, he needs the deep understanding of things. So we work with him on that stuff. But that is this book. It is like what we've been saying, but in different words. It's like what Melissa says, what Thomas says, what all the others have been saying that you've been listening to, but the words are different. And that is okay, because the way you hear it, sometimes you need to hear it differently to understand and accept it.
I think that's what's important, that we all are able to understand from our kind of our where we are on our level of perception or experience. And so I think it is important for many people to be saying the same thing, because what I resonate with may not be what you resonate with, and what you resonate with won't be what I resonate with, but we're still getting the same message. And I think that's the important part. And I think that's what's beautiful about all of this.
Well, exactly. It's the same message, no matter who you're talking to. And so, you know, just looking at the four agreements. And so, what are the four agreements that he talks about? The first one is be impeccable with your word. Leave it there, just say them all at once. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. All right? Don't make assumptions. And always do your best.
And they sound simple, but they are so profound.
They're very simple. And they sound very simple. I mean, be impeccable with your word. Do you know what this is? I mean, I'm saying this not to you, but do you understand? When we talk about having intentions, we talk about manifesting, we talk about living your life. We say so many times words are so important. Saying the right words, watching the right TV show, doing the right things, doing that which resonates with you is being impeccable with your word. It's the same thing. Speak with integrity. Speak with your truth. Say only that which you mean. When I talked about a few months ago, just how we manifest. So many people are now lined up, and they don't speak with this impeccable word. They say one thing, but they really, truly, deeply mean something else and want something else. But the words are saying this, and it's just confusing everything out there and yourself and everyone around you, because you are saying one thing, doing something else. You're in your own cognitive dissonance. You're in a dissonance of yourself. And that's a major, like, woohoo right off the bat. And then you speak against yourself. That self-speak that comes out there.
Yes.
And so that's the first thing. It's just, can we do that? Now, I had this conversation last night with someone, and it came about, we do as I go to the bookstore, we do the small group chats. And one of the conversations that came up was, well, what about people that don't want to speak? It's because in most cases, they think their ideas are too foolish, outside the norm, not going to be accepted. It's more about what the other person thinks about them than what it is. And the exercise is a soul exercise for yourself. Yet, we break it off and bring it to, we are so concerned with how other people think are going to react to us. that we stop speaking a word. And we often just speak what we think needs to be heard. I mean, dating is the biggest example of this. People, all they do is they set up their profiles to try to tell people, hey, I'm exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Well, hello. It's not about what they want. It's what you want. But you pretend to be someone else. They pretend to be someone else. 6 months later, neither of you want to break up because you don't know what to do. If you break up, you're not happy with that person. So you stay together. Next, you know, you get married. You spend all this money on a wedding. You have kids. And you're both like sleeping in separate rooms, living completely different lives, and a business arrangement where you're just raising kids 2 different ways because you have 2 different philosophies, 2 different everything, but together you're still putting on the facade. Oh, this is what I think what you want. This is what I think what you want. And you wonder why the divorce rate's the way it is. You wonder why this and this and this. Because we've put this, we're not impeccable with our word. We're not doing number one. We're not being true to ourselves and our word.
And that's the most important thing, to be impeccable with your word within yourself, you know, and many people have very self-sabotaging thoughts. They buy into the old programming of I don't deserve or I'm not good enough. And it really does affect your ability to manifest or have what it is that you do want authentically in your life. And, you know, it's important to really think about how you think. Think about how you think, because you are not the voice that is in your head. You are that which is behind the voice. And many people, and I know it was even for myself for a long time, I didn't know how to get behind that screaming voice of, you know, all that negative self-talk, all that self-sabotage, all that fear. And it was this hamster wheel of words and thoughts, and it didn't quiet, and I couldn't shut it up because I couldn't get behind it to figure out that I wasn't those thoughts. So my word was very not impeccable. It was not integrity. It was fear. It was fear. And it was from the programming of having grown up in a home where there was a lot of love, but there was a lot of fear around the financial, and a lot of fear around resource and safety and stability.
Well,
And
here's the thing, and it's mentioned in the beginning of the book. Programming.
Yeah.
It's mentioned up front. We are programmed.
Yeah.
That we had to live a certain way, do certain things, be certain ways, and fear is the biggest thing. I mean, think about this. And this was actually part of my channel message the other day, and it came through when I was reading this book or listening to the book. We are programmed by so many different societies about sin.
Yeah.
Do you know what sin is? What is sin?
When you go against the word.
The word of who?
Exactly.
So
in my religion, in the word of God, you know, I was raised Roman Catholic.
Right. So, and he said almost word for word, you're quoting the book. Okay. We have been told that when you go against sin, you're going against God. When you sin, you're going against the word of God, and now you're going to be punished.
Yeah. Catholic.
Okay, you ready? That's not just Catholic. That is many Christian and many other societies. When you do wrong against God, the wrath is going to come down.
Yep.
Well, let's take this a step back. Who is God? Now, I'm not even answering. You're not answering this question because I don't want you to answer the question. But in the grand scheme of things, God here on earth is each one of us. Mm-hmm. And so when we sin, we are truly going against ourselves. Now, what is sin then? So if we're sinning, we're going against ourselves. What we're really doing is when we have those choices, the things in our life, the decisions to make, the things that are happening, we fail to use discernment, because what we're using is we can be directed by two different sources, basically. We're going to call it the shadow self, which is ego-driven, or our soul, which is love-driven. When we get into moments of this discernment, because that's truly what it is. Are you going to come in? That's truly what it is. You're in a moment of discernment. You have choices to make. And many of us don't know how to listen. And instead, we are overpowered by the ego and the shadow self. And so what happens? We choose the choice of the ego to push us into the way that we have been programmed to behave, programmed to be, knowing the expectation, and is not largely something that resonates with the true love. Now, yes, there are times they go together because they will, but what is happening is we are choosing a path based upon a wrong variables, the wrong guidance. And then we do it and we go through and we feel like we've done wrong, that we've cheated, done something that we would call sin. And now we're in trouble with repent or sin. We haven't done anything wrong. We just didn't listen to ourselves, didn't use our own discernment. And we then went on a path that we don't feel is right. And that is what we call sin. It's just we didn't choose the path that is resonating with us, that is not right. We just made the wrong path. We took the path that was programmed into us, the easier path most cases.
Yeah.
Because we didn't use that discernment to say, who is really talking to us? What is going to make me feel good? And so we call this sin, but it is not sin against God. It is not even a sin against some other person in most cases. It's a sin against yourself. That is the ultimate discernment, because we sin against ourselves, because we listen not to our soul and to what is resonating with us out of love, but we act, speak, and do out of fear, out of control, out of what other people think and expect of us. And then we don't feel good about it. And we have that pit in our stomach. And we're like, oh, woe is me. I did something wrong. I don't know what it is, but I did something wrong. And now God's going to be mad. No, God is not mad. God is like, oh, I love you. You did wonderful. Keep up the good work. It is you that is mad. It is you that is disappointed in yourself. It is you. And then you slap yourself on the wrist and you get yourself down. And that brings a whole cycle of self-worth, self-value. And then you go back out there and you no longer go into step number 1. You're in step number 2. And step number 3 in this book. And you're allowing others to dictate how you are going to live your life. All because you are programmed to live away, to fear God, repent for anything you think is wrong, but you don't even know what is right, because you don't listen to what is truly right and resonating with you. Aha, that is the challenge. You go now, I go back.
Don't take anything personally. Nothing anyone does is because of you. And so many people I talk to do not understand this. That when people are coming at you, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about what they're holding on to. It's about what they're afraid of. It's their stuff. Even though they're attacking you or wanting you to do something or coming at you in some way, it's about them. And so don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. Don't let them steal your energy. Don't let them affect you in the way that you live or the way that you make your choices and decisions. Because at the end of the day, they're going to go on and do whatever they're going to do. And you're going to be stuck with that negative impact that had nothing to do with you. So
Cynthia wrote here,
okay.
Sin is missing the mark of perfection. That was taught in the religion she belonged to years ago. Missing the mark of perfection. Yeah, we were taught to be perfect. When we are taught to be perfect, we are told if we're not perfect, if we're not fully God loving, blah blah blah. I mean, that's why the message. Oh shit! I'm not gonna get upset. Not upset. I'm not gonna just heat it because I can go on forever on this. Yes, and that goes back to the programming. It comes back to how we have been raised to believe. There are so many truths out there that have been expanded so much that the true essence, the simple essence of the message has been lost and buried in, we're going to say it anyways, the simple message has been lost and buried in so much shit that no one wants to go down there and search for it. Okay? Stacia can't get mad at me, I swear. All right? But this Stacia's on here too. Bye. Hi, Stacia. You can't get mad. You don't go in there and try to figure it out because you're like, well, the truth was layered with this clump and this clump and this clump and this clump, and no one's searching for it. But now we're at a time where the shit is literally being washed away. If you think about it, where we're in. And we have the chance to actually go back and hear the messages, to see what is truly being taught, what was taught, what is the simple truth, and understand it in a new way. We do. All right, I'm going to get back to this. Like you said, don't take anything personally. Let me make it very clear, very simple statement to talk about this. There is only one thing you can control in this world, period. And that's how you react to anything. So let me give you an example of this, because let me make fun of myself and give an example. See, for those like Stacia, you can laugh at me now because I'm gonna make fun of myself. Couple things. It starts with the moment we don't feel good about ourselves. The moment we don't feel good enough, we are giving control to others and how they feel about us. I might have shared this before. I'm going to share this now. I remember when I was teaching a social justice class. Part of the social justice class I taught was to understand this concept and this theory of social justice, you had to first understand who you were. I mean, you know this already about bias. We all have our own personal bias. Mm-hmm. No way for our boss, we are all biased based upon our own experiences, our own beliefs, what we have gone through in our lives. Now, when we meet new people, we will see the external first, because that is the most obvious difference between people. Religions, race, those things you're going to see right away. All right, how they're dressed, what they're wearing, what they're eating. They're little things you can visual IQs are going to be the first things that we're going to stereotype people and get our bias are going to change. But one of the first things we had to learn about is to first say, these are the facades that I wear. And in fact, I made everyone wear a mask. I'm sorry, not wear a mask. Create a mask. Design it any way they want with their own facades on there. What is it about them that they project to be? And we did that. And about halfway through the class, I gave him, I think it was 10 minutes. And I said, I wrote on the board 3 letters, P, H, and D. And then I sat on a chair in the middle of the room. And I said, answer the question. Why do I have a PhD? They spent 10 minutes trying to analyze the answer to that question and give me the answer. 2 sections, 60-some people. Do you know how many people got the answer right?
No one.
Right. No one got the answer right. Not one person. The reason I'm a PhD, and the reason so many people are PhDs, they will never admit it, is they need other people to think they're smart. Because they feel they're not good enough. And as soon as the moment you feel you're not good enough, you need to do something to prove it. Now I work my butt off so I can call myself a doctor. I don't care. I can use that statement anytime I want now. But do I need that? Am I am I teaching what I went to school for? Am I teaching what I studied?
Am I?
No.
No.
Right. What I would call my area of expertise now is complete. Now, granted, I'm still an expert in my field. That's a given. I always will be. But what I talk about more, what I research more, what I understand more, is something completely different. Now, I needed to go through that to learn, to understand, and for me, how I'm moving forward, I needed that. But it goes back to we don't think we're good enough. And we don't think we're good enough. We give control to others. We give control to the government. Give control to everyone around us to tell us how we should feel, how we should act, what we should do, what we should be. And we take everything personal. Everything was taken as personally. What they do, what they say, we absorb all that stuff. We take those post-it notes and we stick them on our bodies and say, yes, this is the thing, this is the thing, this is me. From the moment we are born, we are given post-it notes by every single person that comes across us, telling us who we are. We never think about shaking all them off and saying, you know what, this is who I am, and writing our own post-it notes and sticking it on and say, this is who I am. We keep those post-it notes that other people have given and stuck on us because that's what they've told us. That's what we absorb. And we've been programmed that way since birth. And that allows them to control what they think of us. And that's how we're developed.
And sometimes ultimately what we end up thinking about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. The scary part. Yeah, that's that we ultimately end up thinking those things about ourselves. And that's where we have to reprogram ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I know we're up against time here. Let me just don't make assumptions. This is a big one because you see this a lot in life. We all make assumptions because we are afraid, going back to afraid to number 2 again. 1, being impeccable from our word. We're afraid to speak our own word because 2, we take everything personally. So we're afraid to say our own word and speak truth because 2, we're afraid of what other people are going to say and how they're going to make us feel and what we're going to have to do then. 3, then we start making assumptions about everything in our life. And so think about the 1, 2, 3. 1, we're afraid to say our own words. That leads to the problems with 2. We then take everything personally. And we're then afraid to speak our own words. We're afraid what other people are going to think about us. And so then 3, instead of getting clarity, instead of having an understanding, an effective communication, we then just make the assumptions because it's easier to make an assumption and say, oh, I made a mistake, than it is to say, do you like vanilla or chocolate ice cream? Not knowing they're definitely allergic to chocolate ice cream, but do you want vanilla or chocolate?
Because they don't have the courage to say, I'm allergic to chocolate.
And you know where that starts? Well, no, you don't have the courage to ask, do you want vanilla or chocolate? So you just assume, well, I don't know if they want ice cream or not, but I'm going to get ice cream. So I don't want to ask and be wrong and say they don't want the answer, whatever it is. You just don't even get to that question. And then you're now just passively living instead of always doing your best. And do you know what always doing your best is? Do you know what the key to always doing your best is? Can you take a guess? It's easy. Come on, take a guess.
Be authentic?
Close. Always doing your best. If you're living out of love, you are always doing your best. Yeah. Go back to that very beginning that I channeled. When you're living out of love, you are living through choices that you're making that resonate very well with you. They resonate high with you. They're guided to you by your soul. Your soul is never going to lead you down a path of sin, as we call it. It's never going to lead you around a path of sorrow and hurt. It's going to lead you to the growth you need to get what you want at times. But it's always going to lead you out of love, in the direction of love, in the direction you want to go. And so when you live out of love, you're living in an authentic way. And my garage door just opened up. Hello?
I was going to say, do you know who's coming?
There's no one there. The window's open up. I can only assume. But when you live out of love, you're living the way you're supposed to live. Then what you're doing is doing your best. And all you can do is do your best.
That's
That's
it.
all you can do.
That's it. And, you know, and so many people don't think that their best is enough. And your best is absolutely enough. And yes, Darlene, you are good enough. And you know, I really appreciate all of you commenting and sharing your insights. So please read the comments. I know Dr. Thomas has his comments and I have my comments, but this was a great conversation because these are very simple statements that he makes, but boy, are they profound. So if you've not read the book, I would highly recommend reading the book. And who knows, maybe we'll come back to this because I do feel like we kind of ran through this pretty fast. I think we could spend some time on these, but I'm enjoying the conversation. So thank you, everyone. And we appreciate you for being here with us this week. And if you want any more information about myself, check out the link in the description box and also Dr. Thomas's link to his YouTube page. All right. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Talk soon.
Bye.